Shalom, shalom. Good afternoon, beautiful people. Whew, there's a lot going on, so much going on. And I just wanted to come on here really quick because I think we're losing focus here. And if we lose our heads, we'll definitely be out of the game. And I'm seeing there's a lot of Americans that are already out of the game because we're losing our shit. Excuse my French. But if you think that that raid on the Capitol had anything to do with Trump or Trump supporters, you are really clueless. Just like if you thought all of those Black Lives Matter riots had anything to do with unjust practices occurring within the black community, between the community and law enforcement. If you believe that that is what those riots were all about, you're as equally as clueless as those people that think that Trump supporters actually did crash Capitol Hill. Now, how you doing, baby? Now, I was watching the certification of the electoral votes yesterday. And there was a senator, Paul Gosar, I believe his name is. As he stood up and he began to object, he began to raise specific issues with the electors choosing that were very problematic. Excuse me, I forget his last name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm all over the place. I'm actually walking to the store right now to get some shopping done and stuff like that. Jim Jordan also spoke out. Ted Cruz also spoke out. And there was a few other choice senators that rose their voices in objection to the electoral votes. And as Paul Gosar was speaking, and he was raising very pertinent objections, and he was pointing out the discrepancy in policies as far as state policies are concerned, as far as the voting rules that were not supposed to be decided within the state judicial system, but were supposed to be decided by the state legislators, but that duty, that responsibility, that right was taken out of the hands of the legislator and put into certain state officials' hands that were not delegated and were not constitutionally allowed to have that right. When he started to voice these concerns, all of a sudden, breach. The House floor has been breached. And the screen shuts off and they go into recess. I find that very ironic. I find that very problematic. And what I'm starting to see and realize is that there have been infiltrators placed within all of these social justice movements to cause mayhem. Because the goal is not to right the wrongs of the past as far as policy and legislation that have been implemented on people. The goal is not to unite America. The goal is to destroy America and the Constitution, because that is the spiritual contract that binds all 50 states together and all of the people together under civility and under a thought and ideology that all people, men and women, are born with certain inalienable rights bestowed upon them by the Creator that cannot be infringed upon. What this secret hand that has been infiltrating all groups is pushing for is one nation under a Luciferian groove. And that's just real talk. And you should be able to see that. They want control and they want dominion. I find it really interesting that these voting machines were named Dominion, because that's exactly what they're pushing for. And they'll take protests done righteously, no matter who's doing it, and they'll put their little actors and their little puppets in place to turn that into mayhem and chaos for their purpose. And then they'll take little sound bites. They'll take little sound bites from the rallies, and they'll create whatever narrative that they want, and they'll plaster it in front of you on their major, media outlets so that they can control the narrative. So I beg you, ladies and gentlemen, do not lose your head. You lose your head, you're out of the game, and you've already lost the game. There are very specific constitutional laws and statutes that were broken during this election that senator was standing up to voice when that House chamber was breached. Mighty convenient. And then all of a sudden the screen goes blank and they're in recess. And now all we have in repeat. Trump supporters swarm the Capitol building. They're creating this. They want to create this chaos for you to lose your head and lose all hope. They already got us locked inside wearing these stupid ass masks as if our skin isn't the biggest organ on our body, and like our skin isn't exposed to the elements, and like our skin and our eyes can't absorb in bacteria to affect our bodies. I have a question to you people that are so gun-ho these masks and think that these masks are going to save you. What's the next step? Are you going to opt for a full, medical gear uniform with the entire, hood where you're covered from head to toe? I'm just wondering. Will you actually believe the God-given environment that He created you to thrive and live in is toxic to you and you can't live in it anymore? So you're going to be in an entire medical, uniform, hazmat uniform from head to toe. How far can they push you? How much can they make you do? I just read South Carolina. South Carolina's legislation is banning mandatory vaccination. Texas has already been talking about secession. Please let me know, anybody in the comment section, if states are actually contemplating secession. Let me know which states are in and which states are out. Which ones are going to follow the Constitution and which ones aren't. So that if I need to move, I can get the hell out of Dodge. But I just wanted to come on to say, as usual, we're being played. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. If you actually believe that those were people rallying against the steal that swarmed that Capitol, and you actually believe that it was actually people protesting for the protection of black lives that were burning cities and looting, The peaceful people, the people that stand in civility and righteousness, you are clueless. It's time to keep our heads. I hope everybody's okay. Stay safe out there. I'm going to handle my business, and till next time, shalom. Shalom, shalom. I'm trying not to come on here and look crazy, but I just got back from the store, and let me turn this up really quick. A brother of mine was, I guess, allegedly trying to chastise me, giving me information that I've been spitting on Facebook for over a decade now. Like, I don't know what he was allegedly putting me on to. And he knows I do. And brother, I love you. I love you. I love all people. Especially love my people. But let's just look at this. The Dred Scott case was in, 1833? The Emancipation Proclamation, which was just a proclamation, was in 1863? The 13th Amendment was adopted in 1868? If I'm not mistaken? Or 1865? And the 14th, 1868, and the 15th, 1870. Then there's the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And then President Donald J. Trump enacts his policy for Black America, giving Black America equal protection under the law in 2016. We have to start asking ourselves, what was the difference or the shysting that occurred between each of these events? And what was Trump doing differently in 2016 that wasn't remedied and taken care of in 1964 or 1870 or 1868 or 1865 with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment? And why the contract with Black America that Ice Cube was willing to meet with anyone to put into effect was necessary. I just posted a video clip from I think it was an 87 movie, Wag the Dog, that's very pertinent to today, right? And then in that particular video, the president was up for election, and a scandal emerged because he was caught in an illicit sexual act with a minor. A Firefly girl is what they were calling her. Girl Scout, Firefly girl, right? And it was 2 weeks out to an election. And they went to resort to these elaborate schemes to create diversions and distractions to get him reelected or elected, which is very similar to what happened yesterday and what is happening today. Brother, in the comment section of my last video, you know who you are. I got mad love for you. But I'm just begging everybody, open your eyes. We're being played. And now you see all of this footage being looped and looped and looped and looped and distracting from the point of constitutional law being broken, which changes the entire scope of the electorate selection and the validation of the electoral vote. And it's time for us to open our eyes and not lose our heads. I was just talking to my brother when I was in the store, and I was saying, like, we can't see this? It's not obvious? On the day of the Electoral College vote certification, where there is a mass rally being held just across the lawn, you mean to tell me that there was no Secret Service or security detail in place to stop any swarm or attempt to enter that building in place? They really think we're stupid. They really believe that they've dumbed us down enough to not see this farce that's in play. You cannot tell me that many people were allowed to swarm the Capitol building without guns. They just had iPhones. There weren't snipers on the roof. No snipers on the roof. Where was the security detail, knowing that there was a rally to stop the steal occurring right across the lawn? There was no security. They showed footage of one security officer with a trail of a dozen men following behind him up a flight of stairs. We've been breached. We've been breached. No way. In D.C., this occurred with these men having no weapons and no fire exchange back and forth, no snipers on the roof, no one there to stop them from breaching the Capitol. You're being played. Wag the dog. I've been talking for over, it feels like, a decade about how they use the media to distract and lull us to sleep. And it's happening right before our eyes for the same specific reason, to get a specific person in office. They start talking about the constitutional violations in this particular electoral selection, and all of a sudden, individuals with no arms, only armed with iPhones, breach the House floor. I'm not stupid, and neither are you. Where were the snipers? Where was the detailed security force? There's no way they could have even approached that building without getting shot on a regular day, let alone a day where there's a mass protest happening because of the political event that's occurring that day. No way. Wag the dog. And again, I'm going to reiterate and urge my brothers and sisters to think about this. Dred Scott case, 1833. Emancipation Proclamation, I believe, was 1863. 13, 14, 15 spread from 1865 to 1870. 1964 Civil Rights Act, 2016, President Trump gives Black Americans, American descendants of slavery, equal protection under the law. What was the difference between those policies and enactments And why did President Trump feel it was necessary to put that in play? Answer those questions. He was giving us something he knew we didn't have. Then riddle me this. Being that Biden wants open borders, being that Biden wants to give illegal immigrants access to Social Security, being that Biden wants to open up gender-specific private bathrooms and accept prisons, etc., to all genders, no matter what gender you say you identify with. And being that Biden wants a great reset. Brothers and sisters, what does that mean for you? And my Caucasian brothers and sisters, what does that mean for you? You're being humbled. And the Most High allows all things for a purpose and for a reason. Let me know what you speculate. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm here, and I'll be back. Shalom.